Kara Zor-El escapes the dying planet of Krypton. She is delayed on her way to Earth. When she gets here 24 years later, she becomes Earth's newest hero, Supergirl. Welcome to the Krypton Report, a Supergirl podcast brought to you by Southgate Media. I am your host, Tyler Patrick, and you can find me at JTYPatrick on Twitter. So let's get started on what's going on today in the world of the Kryptonians.
And welcome back to the next episode of The Last Daughter of Krypton. Today's a special episode, because here again with me in the fortress, none other than the beautiful, amazing, my wife, Miss Jania Patrick. Welcome, Jania.
Hello. Thanks for having me back, Tyler.
No problem. So, we're going to kick off this episode. We've had some time to digest and think about things. We've had some time to do some more reading and looking into things. But we're going to talk about what's your reaction, your takeaway from the trailer?
I really enjoyed the trailer a lot. The first thing that comes to mind is we are finally seeing a female superhero character that you can be proud of. You know, that women around, the States and the world can be proud of and say, you know what, she's actually standing up for what we want to see in a woman.
It is really cool to think about, because this isn't something we touched on before, but like, on Arrow, you have Canary and Black Canary, who are kind of like sidekickish almost characters. And this is, a full-fledged, female-led show where she's the main focus, the main character.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like even sometimes the Canaries are a little bit more like, for lack of a better term, they can be a little more sexualized, Yeah. But with the Supergirl character, it feels like they're taking her away from that, and they're making it about her strength and about who she is. And I think that that's important for girls and women, young women today.
You mean she's not going to magically show up on Arrow and meet up with Oliver and then go off and have times together like every other woman who shows up on Arrow does?
They all end up with Oliver at some point.
For a man who gets a lot of women around and a lot of attention, he sure seems depressed. But
that's another podcast.
I think we discussed that on Flash Arrow Power Hour, about how Oliver seemed to make friends with all the ladies.
Yeah.
But, one thing I caught where we were recently rewatching the trailer is there's really quick cut scenes, and slowing them down, it looks like Superman takes his cousin to the Danvers family, and you see Dean Cain and Helen Slater really fast. It's like he's taking her there, so it makes you wonder if he knows them, how he knows them, what that past is that he's entrusting his cousin to be raised by them instead of, in some versions of the comics, he takes her to Mom and Pa, but usually she's a little older when she shows up. In this, she's showing up as a child and not a teenager. So it's definitely going to be, I think, more of an amalgam story with some originality into it of her story.
I really like that, actually. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure how I would feel if they brought up Superman in general when it comes to this new Supergirl TV show, but I really like it. I like him being in the background so far, from what I've seen on the trailer and everything like that. I think it's really cool, and it adds that element, because let's face it, you don't really want Supergirl without Superman. Period. You want Superman to be a part of the storyline, some way, somehow. That's where she comes from, basically. That's her family.
That is an interesting thought. Now, what is your feelings and thoughts towards if this show does or doesn't cross into the Flaro universe? For lack of a better term.
Flaro.
Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow.
Honestly, I don't think it needs to be a part of that. I feel like there's so much going on with that universe already. That I think adding Supergirl into the mix might just become too much, too overwhelming. And then it's like, there's too much to keep up with. And I don't know. I kind of like it being its own,
Chris and I were speculating, if maybe we get season 1 Supergirl done, and season 2, somehow connects, all this was taking place beforehand or something, to where, like, Flash and Arrow are running parallel with each other. But with Supergirl, like, I debate back and forth because I love the idea of her kind of cutting her own cloth, being her own show, not needing any kind of connectivity. But at the same time, I would love to see her interact with Flash. So it's a very interesting kind of conundrum, because in some ways I want to see it, but there's a lot of questions that would raise as far as with Superman, if he's been in existence. Because in this kind of universe, it seems like Oliver kind of came out as the first superhero.
Right. And they haven't really alluded. I can't remember. They haven't alluded to Superman at all, have they?
No, because their rules is they're not allowed to reference Batman or Superman, Metropolis, or Gotham.
Anything
so
like that.
Even Kara in this show is in National City, I think it is. So she's not even in Metropolis.
Oh wow.
So I'm right now. I'm kind of at this stalemate where I'm like, I can rationalize either way of what I want to see as far as where she gets placed. And I've kind of been on the fence about with Superman being part of it or not. We'll just see how it plays out. I'm just happy to see the show, and I'm more and more excited. Like, I know I do Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast as well, but at the same time, this show's going to be on the same time as Gotham, and if I have to watch one in real time, I'm going to lean towards this one,
Yeah, I do have to say, like, I'm very excited about this show. To me, this is like a combination of, like, Smallville kind of style, where it's like upbeat and happy sometimes, and like just really fun. It seems like it could be really fun.
Yes.
And then it might have some serious tones like Arrow and Flash. Flash is a little bit more upbeat too, but still, this one seems like it's going to be a little bit more fun and exciting. I love the chick that's playing Supergirl. I already love her. I know she's not like your stereotypical blonde Supergirl, but she's great to me.
The saddest part about this is having her cast and having Grant Gustin as Flash really tempts me, but I'm not quite there yet. Like, I don't think I can lower myself to that level, and no offense to fans out there, but I just can't bring myself to watch an episode or past episode of Glee ever. But having, just really liking Grant.
Yeah, I love Grant.
And then, interest in her, I'm just like, but I can't do it yet. I can't do it. I feel like they're like, we need superheroes. Get anyone that was on Spartacus and Glee. I mean, Captain Boomerang, Deathstroke, Nyssa, all came from Spartacus.
I didn't know Nyssa came from Spartacus.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then you have Supergirl and Flash from Glee, and there's probably some more that I'm missing out there. Or people who used to be on the other CW show, because that's a trope of CW's to reuse actors, which isn't bad.
That's a great
which
thing
isn't bad at all.
CW does. But they seem to bring in new people too, so I love CW for that.
I always thought it was funny because, for a long time, Smallville and Supernatural, anybody who's on those shows just watched they'll be on another show or on back and forth on each other. I always wanted a quick, odd reference, especially in the episode, and we get tangential here, Supernatural, where they go to the, it's in season 5, when they go to where everyone's role-playing as Sam and Dean at the hotel.
Oh, yeah, the Supernatural convention.
I always thought it'd be awesome if, just in the background, there was Tom Welling and Justin Hartley dressed as Sam and Dean, just for, some sort of funny nod. Alright, but we digress here. Today's episode, after reviewing the trailers, we're going to talk about the character of Cat Grant. She's one of the main characters that will be in the Supergirl series, who has a long and diverse history with the Man of Steel. Cat first appeared in Adventures of Superman 424, January of 1987, as a Gotham columnist for the Daily Planet. Introduced as a potential love interest for Clark Kent, her character added a new dimension to the Clark-Lois Superman. Now, personally, unlike the plot of Superman 4, which had the idea but just dropped the ball, which is ironic because it's the same year that this comic was published, I always thought having someone who actually was attracted to Clark, like the Christopher Reeves bumbly, awkward Clark Kent, was kind of funny, because that Clark is not supposed to have somebody. When he decides to become Superman, it's kind of like Clark is not the person that girls would be interested in. So I just thought having that kind of as a background could be really interesting for a story. They attempted it in Superman 4, but it just kind of fell short.
Yeah.
But Kat arrives in Metropolis taking a position at the Daily Planet. She is well known for her syndicated columns in Los Angeles, where she was recently divorced from Joe Morgan and has a son, Adam Morgan, which is going to be, I wonder if he'll appear in the series, since we've seen like this Kat Grant is a little bit more mature. I wonder if Adam will be referenced to, because there is a connection between Supergirl, Adam, and Kat. She needs to prove herself to Perry and Clark and Lois that she can be a real reporter, and Kat goes undercover at Galaxy Broadcasting to keep Clark exposed to Morgan Edge links to Intergang. Kat joins the TV station and becomes an on-air reporter who eventually gets her own talk show, The Kat Grant Show. Now, Kat's son Adam is one of several children abducted later on by the Toy Man. Now, in the trailer, we meet Winslow Schott, who will be Toy Man. He is the guy that's helping Kara on the roof.
That's the story.
Yeah. He is the one who is helping her on the roof. That's supposed to be like not a love interest for her, but he's supposed to be in love with her, but she doesn't like him. He's the dark-haired guy you see in the trailer.
Oh, yeah. I like that actor.
So he's kind of that, one day I will be a villain, much like that they hint at Caitlin Snow, one day is supposed to become Killer Frost.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, wow, I wonder what's going to take them there. Much like in Smallville, when it started, you had Clark and Lex as friends,
yeah.
which I think they could have done more with, but that's another podcast. I need my own Smallville podcast. No one will listen to it. It'll just be me talking about a show that ended 4 years ago.
I love songs.
So I'm interested where that'll go. Now, Adam was abducted by Toyman, and Adam is murdered when he tries to escape. Yes, that was our dog Elle, or Ellie, but I call her Elle after her Kryptonian heritage. Janine wouldn't let me name her Crypto, so we went with Ellie. She thought she was getting to name the dog what she wanted, but secretly did she not realize that she was sort of giving her a Kryptonian name. But during Lex Luthor's tenure as president, Kat serves as a White House press secretary. She is the reporter for the television station during the death of Superman. So she has a very diverse history. It was during writer Sterling Gates' take on Supergirl where we're bringing in the story where Kat will be a regular supporting cast member as well as Lana Lang was. But Kat holds a grudge against Supergirl because of her lack of respect and careless handling of a metahuman fight that left her slightly wounded. Kat starts a slandering campaign against the Girl of Steel and pages the Daily Planet, turning a large number of the people of Metropolis against Supergirl. Now, as you're noticing, there's a very tight-knit connection between Supergirl, Kat, and Toyman. This recurs again and again with Adam, her son, Toyman, in different comics and different storylines, especially in one involved where they go after the doll maker, who supposedly was part of the murder of her son. Now, the doll maker is interesting because that's a character we've seen a version on Gotham. We saw a version in Arrow Season 2. Now, if this show doesn't connect to Arrow and Flash, we could get to see alternate versions of characters we've already seen on TV.
Very cool.
And I think the Dollmaker is one. A character that I'd like to see appear on the show because I feel like he didn't get his due in Man of Steel is Emil Hamilton, but that's just another form. Now, Kat never appeared on the animated series. She did appear in Young Justice and was voiced by, how do you pronounce that name, Jania? Because you know people, I can't pronounce names.
Masasa Moyo.
And she was in the episode Targets and the episode Terrors. That's pretty cool. Now, we know that from the trailer we meet Kat Grant, as she is being played by Calissa Flockhart. And this is another version of Kat. So now what we're going to discuss is the incarnations that we have met of live action.
Yeah.
Now, recently, Jania and I have watched a couple episodes of Lois and Clark where she was introduced, and we watched Smallville. So, in Lois and Clark, how did you feel about Kat's portrayal?
I mean, she was this very overtly pretentious and flirtatious woman. I mean, she was so into Clark, it was crazy, and Clark was just, I think he didn't even really realize how into him she was. Like, it was,
That's Clark.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like we said, she was done as a character that was supposed to be toward interesting Clark. And of course, Lois and Clark was more of like a rom-com-esque show with Superman.
Yeah, definitely.
So it makes it a little bit more interesting that Kat appeared. But Kat was only in the first two seasons. They phased her out rather quickly.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, one thing I noticed is that she really wasn't a part of it very much. I mean, you'd see her here and there, but there wasn't a huge part for her, which in this new Supergirl, it definitely seems like she's going to have a more integral role in the whole storyline.
She was played by actress Tracy Scoggins, and, I just felt like it's one of those things, like the first season of Lois Clark was one thing, because in the second season they replaced Jimmy Olsen with a different actor, and Kat was gone, and it was just, the character I think was supposed to be the foil to Lois in love with Superman, and then Kat likes Clark, but it just, I think they made her too over-sexualized.
They definitely.
To where it was almost an offensive character.
Yeah.
Like if I was a chick and I was watching this, I'd be like, yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, she was very over-sexualized, and it was too much at times.
And then we jump, when we get into Smallville, in the season 10, when we get what's supposed to be the real version of Cat Grant, because there's an off comment about a throwaway Cat Grant character that was introduced in season 9, which is funny because they did that with Kara, too. They had a person say she was Kara at the end of season 3, but we got the real Kara in season 7. I think the writers tightened that up. But when we meet Kat in Smallville, she's played by actress Carrie Lynn Pratt, and the version is completely
different.
Complete
opposite side of the spectrum.
We're going from Lois and Clark's Kat having like this leopard print dress where she's like, here's the goods, to Kat in Smallville like tank, shirt, sweater, button to the top, pearl necklace, 50s housewife, perky,
perfectionist, in her own way, very nerdy, very smart, and yet not common sense smart.
Yeah.
She's something else, man. She's fun. I enjoyed her character. She's fun and a little annoying, but I think that's the part that she's supposed to play. She's supposed to be this annoying character to Clark, and I find that hilarious.
In the episode Shields, where she is all of them hating on the superheroes, and she's got Deadshot was hired to, kill her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Clark still saves her, and, he doesn't even care that she's leading a campaign against him. But
it just shows Clark Kent, like how Clark Kent really is, and I love that. It's awesome.
And, we haven't got to finish the season out, but there's more development later on with her character where she gets to really realize what, I even hate saying it just because I wish the Blur stood for and who he was. Yeah, it was okay when they kept it, but, honestly, they could have come up with something.
Yeah, the Blur was
it went a little too far.
Yeah.
I know they didn't want to use the big S word, but come on. In retrospect, really? The Blur?
Yeah.
This isn't Little Rascals, the movie. So we got to see that Cat Grant. Now, in the New 52 run of Superman, Clark Kent left the Daily Planet and joined Catco. It was like a cat.com blogging news source, and he worked for her. They were partners. So now, in Supergirl, we meet Cat Grant, who is the manager of Media Catco Company. We don't know too much of what all it entails, but we know that Jimmy Olsen's employed there as well. And in the trailer, we get two defining scenes that really, I think, demonstrate what Cat's character will be in this new series.
Yeah.
And
I think that she's similar to the Lois and Clark cat in the way that she's like this confident, strong woman that, maybe is a little sexualized as well, but I think it's good, I think that she's also going to be this, how do I want to say that? I think she's going to be like a really cool, strong character. A little bit of a pain in the butt, but
a little bit of the devil wears Prada.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you love to hate her and you hate to love her, so she's just that kind of character.
What I wonder is how much of a character will she be a Luthor-esque villain? Or will she be like this, not really a villain, not really, but just this character, like an antagonist character, where she's not like, you don't watch the series like Kat is the villain, she's just the boss of Kara and causes problems. But not like the boss is in like Perry White, where you love Perry. But she creates this different kind of environment. So I'm intrigued by where they're going to go with her. I think Callista Flockhart will play it well. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan. I'm more optimistic about things, and I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt to just see what she can pull off as the character. So I'm excited. I'd rather be excited about all this great and wonderful comic book, especially DC things we're getting, because DC's killing it on TV.
They definitely are.
So I'm getting jealous because we're talking about Supergirl without him. He's only 4 months, but he might have his first crush. I'm proud of my son. He's got a crush on Supergirl. What do you fans think? What is your takeaway from the trailer? What's your thoughts on Cat, on Toyman, on Henshaw, on Supergirl? We're talking about all the main characters we've experienced so far. But, you can find us on Twitter at Last Daughter, and then you can find me in my other many podcasts. So, that kind of wraps up Cat Grant for now. We're going to see what's going on. There's a lot of history. I definitely encourage everyone to dive into their local comic book shop, library. Any final thoughts, Jania?
Just for all you fans out there of Supergirl, stay optimistic. Be open to the new storylines, the new characters, and the different types of characters that are going to come into play. I think that it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be different. And for the women out there who are listening, or, who love Supergirl, just make sure that you appreciate this for what it is, for this strong female character that's finally what we really want to see, us women really want to see in the comic book world.
Thank you for listening to the Krypton Report, the Supergirl podcast. Hit us up on Twitter at Krypton Report. Leave us a review on iTunes and let you know what you think, how the show can be better, your thoughts on Supergirl, and anything else you feel like chatting about. And I'll catch you next week.